Welcome to the show Brain Rot, What Our Screens Are Doing to Our Minds, a special series from the New Books Network. Here are your hosts, Dr. Karen Messina and Dr. Harry Gill.
Good morning. Today, we're going to talk on our series called Brain Rot, What Our Screens Are Doing to Our Minds. A new word, a new concept, but it's been with us since technology has been with us in the form of digital technology, phones, computers, etc., etc. It's called Technoference. So the title of our show today is Technoference, Losing Time, Losing Ourselves. It sounds kind of like, well, what does that mean? It could be a science fiction term, but it's really a deeply human term that affects all of us. It's when technology interferes with human connection. And that happens so often, we don't even realize it. Right? Smartphones are placed between partners or somehow on the table, someplace nearby when we're having dinner with our families. Parents often look down at a notification when their child is trying to tell them something really significant. A friend may be telling us something important, something that has happened to him or her. And, we're glancing down at our phones to see what's going on. So this is what Technoference is all about. And Dr. Gill, what is your experience with this phenomenon?
As you said, it's been around for a really long time. And in fact, one could argue it started with the presence of television, where we're distracted by the TV screen. But TV screen usually didn't join us at the restaurant, at the theater, at the concert. And I want to emphasize from neuroscience perspective that the process of technoference and the process of being distracted is infinitely more complicated than on the face of it, what seems to be kind of a common concept of like, well, yeah, I get distracted for a minute. So I'll speak a little bit to the process of what happens in the brain, because diverting attention from one topic to another is a very profound phenomena. So when we pay attention to a person in front of us, or we're engaging in something that should be an intimate moment, brain is engaged attentionally to that person, but also all of the function of the brain is then devoted to processing that interaction. That means processing inflections of the voice, processing facial expression, engaging memory networks, associated memory networks related to the topic of conversation and our association to whatever is happening in the moment. And as we have limited attentional resources, your brain does not have endless capacity to attend. One can think of attention, in fact, as a searchlight. There's even a term, searchlight hypothesis of attention, where almost like a flashlight directed, it's either directed to the conversation that we have at hand, or when there is a text notification on the phone, then we're distracted to take a look at the phone, meaning that searchlight that engaged this entirely complex system of the totality of the brain that was devoted looking at something our child was drawing or our partner was telling us about, into what seems like a momentary fleeting, let me just check that text. Well, in fact, you have totally disrupted the harmony of the moment, and you're now thinking about the text. And if the text has something that is emotionally important, then the moment is completely lost, because now your mind is occupied. It is, I'll give an example to this. I have various lines of defense of where my personal emails go, where my professional emails go, where notifications go, how do I get notified about things? Because if I check an email from a patient that is asking a question, I will get completely engaged in that question and will start thinking about the client, the patient, and will no longer think about, my husband that I'm sitting and having wonderful dinner in a restaurant. So I think appreciating the fundamental concept of disruption of attention is not something that is a digital process, because brain is not a computer where we can flip a switch on and switch off. We're really creating a world of pretty profound disruption of intimacy, I would say, in the world.
Let's expand on this idea of a dinner, whether it's in a restaurant or a home. Let's say we're there with a child or children and a significant other. And it's a time to just relax and chill out for the day. Maybe to talk about things that have happened to one person or the other. Maybe everybody gets a chance. The child may be very eager to recount something that happened at school. But there's that phone that's just someplace on the table, as I said before, shelf, table. Maybe it's just someplace by one's chair. And the child gets really involved in talking about something really exciting. And a parent can say, if they kind of looked at her and are distracted by this phone that they've put there on purpose. Yeah, right. Oh, yeah, I got it. The child senses immediately that the genuine connection that they often have with the parent isn't there. So, what do we imagine happens with that child's enthusiasm? It kind of dwindles, and they start to feel bad about it, and they feel ignored. They don't feel good about telling mom or dad this story. Sadness registers. So, it's a lost opportunity for a real connection with a child, as I said, a significant other, a spouse, a friend. And time lost can't ever really be captured again.
To add to it, I think that's a wonderful moment in time that, again, from neuroscience perspective, we're actually undermining development of a function of the brain. In clinical practice, I know many people have a really hard time telling stories. And if you dig through their history, you find out that as children, they were not listened to. And therefore, if we are doing, as you describe, to a child, they notice that they're not listened to, therefore parent is not interested. So their attentional world is now collapsing into moment of sadness and not learning how to develop a narrative to describe their day. Because most children really like that moment of silence when they're also themselves not distracted. Yeah, I'll oftentimes use my kiddo as an example. He's an 8-year-old that is very, very active, and I don't get to talk to him much, but at the dinner, while eating, he loves to tell us stories about what happened at school and what happened with his friend and a bully and somebody pushed him, and you hear about his day in a very three-dimensional way. If the TV is on, then you don't hear about it because that everybody's looking at TV. And if I pick up the phone, I'm no longer listening.
Yeah, let me think about another example. One that comes to my mind often when I think about this topic is a child and a parent on a playground. So we all know kids love playgrounds. We go with the child. Maybe we walk hand in hand, depending on the age of a child. And then we spot the first swing or the first slide, and the child may squeal with enthusiasm. Is really thrilled. May see a friend there, but just say it's a parent and a child. Well, the child starts to head for the slide, and the parent sits down, gets really comfortable, and takes out their phone. And we'll say Johnny or Janie getting ready to go down the slide. They want the parent to pay attention, to look at them, to share in their delight. And the parents got their thumb on the phone. They're just scrolling through social media or checking their email. There's something that's just it's severed. It's the tie, the bond, the excitement is severed. And of course, the child is going to, thinking of the word plummet emotionally. the child will be very disappointed because mom or dad isn't watching when they're doing this fun thing, going down this slide that may to us look like it's just a 4-foot slide, but to them it may look like, or they may be imagining it's a mountain or it's something really thrilling. So again, a major opportunity to connect with the child is gone when we're just in smartphones, and we could also have a laptop, I suppose, playground.
In defense of parents, it is a necessary tool of life to check email, stay connected in this fast-paced world. But the argument that you and I always make is that make time and space for the device. Don't let it take over your life. In this world of constant pressure of news and significant anxiety about the state of the world and what's going to happen next, and political shifts and price shifts, there's anxiety. And all human beings are anxious, and in the moments of anxiety, we want to know. And somehow there's I'm going to call it delusional belief that if we crack open the phone and scroll through the news, that we will somehow know and be prepared for the danger that's coming. The idea in itself is fallacy, because I think we can all accept that the news cycle consists of 3 or 4 items that are repeated over and over again, but one can spend an hour or 2 staring at these 4 items in different forms, trying to penetrate in the anxiety what's going to happen next, so they can be prepared, they can protect themselves, they can protect the family. So internalizing the piece that knowing is not possible, and that all we have is the moment that exists right now with a child on top of the mountain going down the slide, and that moment is more precious than any knowing.
Right.
It's really important to put anxiety away for a moment and enjoy that living in moments that in popular culture everybody talks about.
Right. There's so few if you think about time and how much time we spent on responsibility, the things that we have to do, the work that we have to do, shopping, taking care of maintenance, or getting somebody else to take care of it. But it all involves so much time. So these precious moments are really very important, because again, when that moment is gone, the child goes down the slide with a sort of a downtrodden expression and a sinking heart. You can't get that back. That's one moment in time that's gone. You can have others, but that one's gone. Another quick example is date night. And a lot of couples are so busy that they put aside one evening a week, hopefully at least one, for a date night. And just say they're both very excited. They're going to go to this new restaurant they've heard about, and friends have told them about. They're very excited about it. Except one or both of them has, again, the subtle cell phone. I have one right here. Subtle cell phone right by their seat. Maybe they're on a bench sitting together. Maybe they were holding hands. Well, anyway, it buzzes. The phone buzzes. And one person says, "Oh, let me just check this. I have to check this. It's very important. Somebody was supposed to text me tonight." Well, whatever was starting to, may have been a nice connection for the evening, it's soured, it's dampened, and you can't get that back either. Now you can put the phone down, you can start again, but chances are, who's to say it's not going to buzz again? So we really need to set aside time where we can spend quality time with our loved ones and our good friends, because otherwise we'll just have a life filled with tasks.
This whole concept you reminded me of from group therapy, of discussion of here and now, which is really interesting and important, and a discussion of there and then, which is some other people over there at that point in time. what I tend to suggest to people when they have date nights is that there are a couple of rules. And the rules are simple. It's just the two of you at the table, down to the point where they're not allowed to talk about their children, because children are there and then. If the couple is really reconnecting, if the couple relationship is on the rocks, if they have been fighting, if they have been having professional struggles, this is the time of focusing on each other, containing each other, and supporting each other, and rekindling the love. And going back to the neuroscience principle, if we're distracted by something else, we have disrupted the emotional flow of the moment of here and now, and are paying attention to there and then, a person that may need an answer quickly, but does not need an answer at that particular moment. I was just telling Dr. Messina, what I always tell my clients is a silly statement, which is that unless you're a neurosurgeon at a pediatric hospital and you're on call, anything else can really wait for 30, 40, an hour or 2 hours. Nobody's going to die if you don't answer that text or check your email. And monitoring how the phone engages you, because it's a very active device that wants to engage you. And as Dr. Messina says, it pings and it pongs and demands attention, is really important to be aware of and manage actively. So managing all of the notifications and turning off the buzzes and the pings for everything that is not absolutely essential is really, really important. Anybody can check Instagram at their own pace. Anybody can check Snapchat at their own pace, meaning selecting the time when you have a relationship with your device, because that is a relationship too. We dress it up in skins, and we dress it up in different covers, and it's a person that is part of our life in many ways. There are films made about this topic. So that relationship needs to be regulated like relationships with our friends and family members.
Absolutely. So before we end for today, I'd just like to say that we do need these things for work, just about everybody. I don't think you can get away from the fact that we need these devices, but we don't need them all the time. And frankly, we probably don't need them as much as we think we do. Do we really need to scroll through X constantly? Do we really need to be on Instagram as much as most people are? I think probably not. If you can add some more quality to fill in the time with another person, I think it's much more valuable than knowing exactly what's been said by A, B, or C person, celebrity on X or any other social media channel. Any final parting thoughts, Dr. Gill?
I think you said it really, really well. So no parting thoughts, other than it doesn't matter what they say. Think your own thoughts.
Yeah, think your own thoughts and be present with your people, family and friends. Okay, that's all for today. I hope you'll join us again for our next podcast and YouTube channel video. Thank you.